Master Guru is born in Malaysia. He first learned about Theravada Buddhism and ordained in Thailand in 1980. He had learned and practiced meditation, especially the mindfulness, from several venerated Thai monk masters during his monkhood in Thailand. And in 1986, Master Guru decided to convert to Chinese Buddhism and had become a disciple of the late great Buddhist Venerable Master Zhu Mo in Triple Wisdom Hall in Malaysia. And Master first came to United States in 1992 to give Dhamma talks. He then, short after that, he was appointed as the abbot of the Great Enlightenment Temple of Buddhist Association of US in New York. And in 1993, he became the secretary of the Buddhist Union of New York. And 1995, he was invited to St. Louis, Missouri to establish a permanent Buddhist monastery called Mid-America Buddhist Association, MABA. That's where we are at right now. If you're interested to know more about MABA, please visit our website. And after more than 20 years of effort, MABA is now equipped with facilities that include meditation hall, men's dormitory, and women's dormitory. So Master Guru resolved to introduce Buddhism to American people here and endeavors to localize Buddhism in the United States. The Buddhist program that offered by MABA right now includes Buddhist studies program, mindfulness training programs, and other general Buddhist activities to meet the needs of the local community. Master Guru is also the abbot of IBFA, International Buddhism Friendship Association, the temple in Chicago, in Chinatown, Chicago, which was entrusted to Master by a Vietnamese Chinese. So during the past 3 years of pandemic, the reconstruction of IBFA temple was started and had recently completed under Master Guru's leadership. The new 4-story temple now is partially open to the public, and it is designed for teaching Buddhist teaching, meditation, as well as Buddhist cultural programs in a new way, which is in accordance to Master Guru's vision of modernizing and localizing Buddhism in United States. So actually tonight, Master will give his talk from Chicago. So not to wasting time, I would like to invite Master to give his talk. So Master, thank you.
Thank you for Kung Yen Sifu's introduction. For today's, my talk is the 7 factors of enlightenment. What can bring me remember 7 factors of enlightenment in his very useful way, and it keep me remember what is going on when the mind meet with the Dhamma. When the mind meet with the Dhamma, it means starting from mindfulness. When the Buddha in his aging year, he always have back pain during the life after 70 or so. So from time to time, he need to lie down to take a break. We know that before his enlightenment, he go to ascetic practice. So I think his back is too much support his sitting. And when it aging, so the back problem always become the condition make him little aware and uncomfortable feeling from the back. So once he lying down, during a story, he will let his assistant, Venerable Ananda, to carry on the Dhamma talk when he need to take a break. So this time, the story is started when Venerable Ananda give the talks of 7 factors of awakening, come to the 3rd factor, diligence or right effort. Buddha himself is lying down at the back of the assembly, so he can hear the teaching sequentially process of the 7 factors, come to half of it, diligent, right effort. So he himself in this sutra said, he immediately sit upright from lying down position, come to sitting posture. When I read the sutra until this sentence, immediately sit upright in the sitting posture. It very touched to me as a remembering starting from mindfulness and carry on the process of reflection of the Dhamma and contemplate of the Dhamma, or concentrate with the object in order the mind have this awakening factor support it, concentrate or contemplate means vipassana or samatha, then it will develop or cultivate the mind, come to joy, come to more calmness, even though come to jhana. That kind of processing factor is going on. Important part is the right effort or diligence. So 7 factors of awakening divided into 2, carried by the right effort or diligence. Your diligence to remembering the Dhamma and contemplate reflecting to the Dhamma is one part of it. In another hand, or you concentrate to the object and calm down the restless mind, the monkey mind, and other hindrances. So the mind will concentrate and no other bothers of changing. We call that jhana, state of jhana, will be possible, become the factor. This is what I know when I was in Thailand of my own practice, most of the time in the condition of seclusion practice and aloneness. After coming back to Malaysia to learn more about Buddhism in the Dhamma as translated into Chinese language, I have another new vision that I found when I read more the teaching translated into Agama. That is the one part that it brings my attention, talking about 5 hindrances, how to work for these treatments in the mind. Hindrance, they talk about usually the mind in the samsara is not more than 5 hindrances. If the mind is not in 5 hindrances, it means the mind already have the antidotes of 7 factors of awakening. The 7th factor is in the mind. Then you don't have the hindrance. Right now, when I want to say more about hindrance or awakening factor in our mindset, either this or that, because of remembering is the key of starting point. If you're not mindful, you still remember something, but that remembering is the habitual pattern. You not pay attention, but the mind already become always talkative by himself and carry on processing the hindrance by himself. So he remember himself to something else. So the mind we have is we need to be right mindful. So mindful and right mindful is two different words. Right mindful means I have the desire to be mindful something. We know the mind that have a lot of new treatment in order that he is going on for his own pattern. Means the mind always needs something as a fruit, as a food, which can bring nutrient to his generate processing the mind pattern. So the sutra talking about mindful contact and feeling, mind, contact, and feeling as the new treatment. So it will nourish the pattern in the mind that going on to the hindrances. If you are right mindful, you remember the 7 factor. It's the same kind of mindful you have, but this called right mindful, means you turn your mind into grabbing something that you need to remember, not the hindrance, but the factor. So you have the right mindful to the factor, means you desire, I want my mind come to certain kind of perception or certain kind of object my mind targets to. So this is called very important part. Mind is always attention to something, contact to something, and feeling to something. If we cannot have the self-reflection back, then you will grab something and run again. This is very important of someone who want to cultivate his mind into 7 factors of awakening. Reflection in the Chinese translation, sometimes the translation into right thinking, or we translate it into right remembering or right will, W-I-L-L. This is inner part of the reflection, and exterior part, right assembly or wrong assembly, right partner or wrong partner. Wrong partner is the partner who have the content of hindrances. Right partner is the partner that have wholesome factor of the Dhamma. So this is exterior condition to support yourself into cultivating the 7 factors of awakening. One more thing in the right view is very important when we practice 7 factors of awakening. I remember this, not going to let go, because monk life is renunciate life. Need to follow the training and practice as a monastic, need to overcome all the attachment, eventually we come to the goal. The goal is equanimity. So 7 factors of awakening, last part is equanimity. So equanimity means totally letting go of any name or forms attachment. So detachment is the monk life goal. How can we process it? We need to using these 4 lines of teaching or the Dhamma. The first one is be based up on seclusion. The second one is be based up on dispassion. The third one is be based up on seclusion. And the last one, maturing in release. I'm not using it very good in the expressions in English, but when the Chinese word come into my mind is 依远离, 依无欲, 依灭, 相依舍. These 4 lines, I never let go. All the things that I can detach, but these 4 lines never let go. Because when you let go of seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and maturing in release, it means you're not processing the right effort or diligence solution to maturing the factors of awakening. So among life seclusions, when we remember and contact and feeling those seclusion, then calmness of release, joyful of release, concentrate to his more highest value, renunciate the world or the sensual world, become possible. If we forgot these 4 lines, then your contact, your feeling, your remember will back to the sensual world, will back to the lay life world. That is not much you can understand why the Buddha himself initially or first he chose someone come to the Dhamma is the yogi who ready or commit to renunciate. So 7 factors of awakening is easy to remember, but without these 4 lines, that remembering can bring you into processing the equanimity. This is when I come back to learn more teaching and the Dhamma from the Chinese translation of the Agama. I found that 5 hindrances is the only solution in the mind that making all the attachment in the life, in the samsara. If who want to overcome this pattern, it's very challenging. Even though for the monks who too much busy in the life, it's still not easy to purify his mind. Because 7 factors of awakening is talking about mind. And the sutra said, when you fulfill the 7 factors of awakening, in the same time you are fulfilling 4 foundations of mindfulness. And when the 4 foundations of mindfulness been achieved in the same time, 7 factors of awakening is achieving. So this sutra mentioned about two teaching. One is 7 factors of awakening. The other is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Their relationship. Of course, there are more and profound teaching in this sutra talking about 4 foundations of mindfulness and 7 factors of awakening. But briefly said, in the daily life, we need to be mindful to the body. In the meditation posture, when the body is stillling, not moving at all in his posture, then we need to more focusing in the mental. Then 7 factors of awakening need to process. This is a starting point different. So we need to maturing 2 aspects. One is the 4 foundation of mindfulness is starting from the body and feeling, not directly come to the mind. So if we cannot maturing this body and feeling up on to seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and maturing in release, then if we look for the mind's seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and maturing in release, that is very, very challenging. Even though I can say impossible. So for me, I am very beginner. I don't know how far my life in the past connected to the Dhamma. But in this very life, need to practice mind only. It is not my style. Because in the stillness of the body, of course, we need to go more reflection back into the mind, right contemplate into the mind, or right concentrate into the mind. Of course, we abandon the feeling of the body. We can do it that way. But when we come back to the daily life or we practice walking meditation, standing meditation, that is not much we can do without the feeling of the body or without the contact of the body and feelings from the contact. Remember, this is the key. When is the time we can have something like equanimity? Equanimity means detached. This becomes challenging for myself. If you contact to something and feeling to something, you know how to handle it in his right way. That right way is detachment. So a lot of mind's faculties of hindrance rising, or that is an argument, arguing, discriminate from the external contact, is because of the mind that moment is not have any right view or is not have any right attention. Bring back the 7 factors as a whole for the mindset. So that we drop into attachment. When that attachment bring you more processing into greed, hatred, anger, or jealousy, so on, that kind of hindrances. This is because of the 4 lines of the requirement is not been remembering. That is in my own practice. I found Buddhism for me is not looking for a lot of new saying or a lot of readings explain the Dhamma. That's only bring you knowledge. More knowledge we need. But in the function of the mind and body, knowledge cannot help too much. Only vipassana or samatha is right away helping this body and minds of transition. So for our life, how to balance it? When you learn the Dhamma and when you practice the Dhamma in the daily life, I will say, not only 7 factors of awakening is important, and not only the 4 foundations of mindfulness is important, but the Buddha said, that is the path and the fruit. This is what I'm willing to tell you, willing to share to the disciple in his life. So he talked about the path, or the Pali's Nikaya is all correct into the teachings of Mahavagga. So Mahavagga is the 37 factors of awakening, 7 sets of it. So these 7 sets of the awakening, a lot of things is very tight together to process it as a whole. Like if I want to say a little bit more about, one is not too much knowing by us or cultivated by us. It's the 4 Brahma Vihara: compassion, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Here again, equanimity. I would say when we talk about 4 Brahma Vihara, is our EQ part. Just now talking about 7 factors of awakening is IQ part, very wise. And EQ part is very compassion. The patient is very pure without any attachment. The patient is very pure without any selfish grabbing. That need to be processed too. As the Buddha himself, if we process that, then your mind will be balancing to all living beings, or not just put your mind into narrow to someone particularly. So the sutra mentioned 7 factors of awakening come to a certain level of maturing, then you can cross that into training other factors. That is the relationship from 7 factors of awakening and cultivate the 4 Brahma Vihara in the sutra been mentioned. But how this technique can be practiced and can be put into training is really challenging into the trainer. So for me, myself too, if the equanimity will be the end teaching of 7 factors of awakening, and equanimity is the end part of the 4 Brahma Vihara, then these 2 sets of teaching, as we have the equanimity come to an end, that equanimity must be no different. But how to cultivate it, let that factor become our mind and body's quality. So as what I come to Chinese Buddhism, they call themselves Mahayana, means the Greek vehicle. They can use this vehicle as a platform to bring more people in one to across the suffer. So they will process more into the 4 Brahma Vihara if they want it, must be some skillful means in their mind and body. When the Mahayana want to say they practice Bodhisattva life, must have some unique skill they carry by that teaching. I thought, because we all still connecting to the Dhamma in this modern life. And the Dhamma is not become pieces like before. The language problem, you know Thai language, you don't know Chinese language. If you know this language, you don't know that language. They have a lot of misunderstanding to each other. But we meet the modern computer, the modern technology. They already help us make all this Dhamma in different countries recording come into sharing. So right now, the Dhamma world, what we know is as a whole, Pali term, Sanskrit term, English term, Chinese term, and so and so. If you really want to know something more accurate and know more details in his own skill, we are possible. We have that ability to learn. So for me, the knowledge, I open myself to all the knowledge. And not like someone who want to practice and without open his eye and open his ear to the Dhamma of other teaching. I'm very open, still correction all the teaching, all the skill what I concern. If that part not come to my mind, if that part not come to my experience yet, I won't be have the factor of equanimity. So here is something that when I come from Theravada Buddhism, that is only Pali language and only Thai tradition, what I know, and experience the daily life only in that culture, that country's limited understanding of the Dhamma. But after that, when I come to Chinese Buddhism, then I will open up more broadly, not only use the comparative study by my Thai basics Dhamma to know about Chinese language Dhamma. So it makes me more open. That is the awakening. When I come to United States, so I hearing English, make friends with English speaking people, and checking the English translation of Dhamma. So it make me more open. So that openness is become more wider than as what I know the Chinese Dhamma world. So this awakening is make me more open. No matter how we open it ourselves, in this self-awakening, I still, from time to time, when my mind is not remembering, be based up on seclusion, be based up on dispassion, be based up on cessation, maturing in release. If that remembering is not the starting point, is not the diligent point, and it is nowhere I can connect it into equanimity to go or the end point. So again, I'm back to that 4 lines to show this 4 lines is rising up my renunciate to detach the life become possible. Without renunciate, that is the hindrances, that is the burning of the life in samsara. I am end of my talk, and good luck for everyone.
Thank you very much.
So, Master, you talk about the 4 points a focus for seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and relinquishment or release. There is in the Anapanasati, the fourth tetrad, they have a similar Viveka, we call the Viveka formula, but this formula has starts with impermanence and then goes to dispassion, cessation, and relinquishment. Is there a reason that there's a difference between the Viveka formula of seclusion and this formula that begins with the practice of Wuchang, impermanence?
Impermanent, usually that is the reflection into contemplate something. The mind have something going on, try to be think it more detailed, like a scientist investigation something. That is called impermanent. We need to use it. But when we are trainings of the jhana, and when the mind is stopping in certain degrees of more advanced calmness, so that impermanent is the contact, touching point. When the touching point, it totally, once you touch to something, it immediately in that moment is penetrate to it. So we don't see and want to backward and say, oh, that is impermanent. It's not like that. So it directly connected to equanimity. Okay, lastly, I back to what I want to say, the very profound in my mind, that when the old master of Zen, means Chan master, who want to express the awakening, then he will say, when we have 10% of the power in the daily life we achieve from the practice, then when the condition come to illness, that 10% of the training power, only 1% can be used to guide your illness time. When the illness time, you have 10% of the power from the illness times practice. When the mind come to his dream and illusion, that 10% of the illness practice power, only 1% can come to the illusion and dream. Here, dream means his mental state come to illusion. Illusion means his mind state contact to the world or to the sensual. This is more challenging. When you have 10% of the practice power in the delusion and in the dream, only 1% of the power can use it in guiding the dying or hospice. That is the Chan master's profound awakening recording in the Chinese language I found. So we need to facing the daily life, illness, delusion and dream, and facing to dying, hospice, very challenging in these four conditions. For our awakening factor, I don't know how much we can process as these whole factors of 7 factors in order to maturing in release in the daily life, release in illness, release in delusion and dream, and release in last moment of the life, hospice dying. If who concerned about awakening and equanimity, please take this story seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Master, for your reminder. I would like to invite Master to lead us to do the merit dedication together.
May this Dhamma sharings to open our heart and mind. May this Dhamma sharings to connect it to who really come to the Dhamma as the good friendship, good assembly. May we all release from the suffer. May we all establish the factors of awakening. Thank you.
Thank you, Master.